All right, gentlemen, we are live and I am back. We are back. How's everybody today?
I'm in
Groovy.
great form. Yeah, great form.
Well, we have joining us today EVM Sucks Disc. So excited to have him.
She's hot.
The never subtle Shaun. He does not mince words. Does not
Ever.
mince words. So what's going on, Shaun?
Not a lot, man. I've been having a kind of a fun couple of weeks. Doing my usual markety clicking buttons, stealing candy,
Good.
and kind of looking at the kind of bigger picture a wee bit and seeing, what an if may run if we get another shitcoin cycle.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. We've been doing some good stuff. Like this morning, we decided a couple of weeks ago, I think we discussed it before, that we'd, get involved in some marketing for Bitcoin.
Yeah. How's that going?
Yeah, we went from, what I call graffiti marketing, which is, shining lights at fucking buildings going, fuck you, world.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that stuff.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's inherently me. Yeah.
Right.
But instead we went, maybe we should actually just market Bitcoin as if it was a more professional marketing campaign. So look, we're looking at advertising standards and all of that kind of stuff, and basically just advertise Bitcoin.
That's awesome.
Which I don't think it has ever really happened. I mean, it could all be a big waste of money and time, or it could just be cool as fuck. I don't know. I'm leaning towards cool as fuck.
Look, I'm a big believer that you plant a seed in somebody's brain. They may not respond today, but they'll come back to it. Right. And so, if you're kind of planting ideas and thoughts that might help people, I think it's a good thing. The more the word is seen. And the other thing is, seeing a legitimate advertisement for it makes people give it more legitimacy in their heads. Right. Yeah. And so that helps too. That graffiti shit works, is fun, but
I think the graffiti shit is kind of, playing to your own demographic. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Bitcoiners love it. I mean, I'm not interested in Bitcoiners being more Bitcoin. I'm interested in trying to get other people to think about Bitcoin. And I'm not referring to anybody in the space at all. I'm talking, my aunt and uncle.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I totally get it. And I think that's a great cause, man. I absolutely think it's a great cause. Shizzy says he's helping clog up your Maxi coin, man.
I'm not clogging it, dude. If you want to pay, my mining has been so fucking lucrative in the last few weeks.
Oh boy. I just saw the other day, the first block where the fees were more value than the actual block rewards.
Yeah, I mean, it's one, again, like everybody on Twitter likes to make something a crisis. It's all such bullshit. You're going like, the crisis 6 months ago was there won't be enough fees to cover the security budget. And now the fees are fine. And oh my God, you have to spend $30 if you want to be in the next block. Oh, it's a competitive market. You want to pay us that, fine, wait. The miners will get round to you. If you want to be in the next block, pay your $30 and shut the fuck up.
Exactly. Well, look, I mean, you and I had a little discussion today on Telegram about an article I posted, or a couple articles I posted about the people that are whining about it. And, some of the core devs are not happy with this. I mean, from the beginning, what is it? Luke Dash Jr. was screaming and whining about it. And you and I both do not have any love for Luke. So, I mean, besides the fact that he maintains, he writes code for the coin. That's awesome. Or the network. That's awesome. But if they had their druthers, they would delete everything related to Ordinals. Oh, and so everybody knows what we're talking about. We're talking about Ordinals, the version of NFTs that have become very popular on Bitcoin. They are clogging up some transactions, and people are getting up in arms and freaked out because there's a group of folks that don't want that on the chain. But the bottom line is, it's what you said today, Shaun. You got the money and you want to pay the fees. you're welcome to do whatever the hell you want as long as it's allowed on the chain, because it's software. It's not human beings deciding what goes on that chain.
Yeah, and thankfully it's not it's not humans, because we would have changed if we just listened to CT bullshit. We would have changed Bitcoin fundamentally to deal with the security issue, and now we change it fundamentally to do this. This is all nonsense. I mean, Bitcoin, it's not even the term clogged I find slightly bizarre. Or this new marketing term of BRC-20. Like,
yeah,
for fuck's sake, people grow up. Yeah, I mean, you can store data on the chain. You could always store data on the chain, and if
it was always possible.
If you want to pay for that, good luck to you. Yeah. And this idea, and I love that people are now going, oh, block size issues, and it's just such utter nonsense. A lot of it. I mean, look, in my opinion, it's all a fad. It'll probably die down, and if something useful that extends it beyond the fad happens, then great.
Right.
But Luke Dash, it's not Luke Dash's decision. It's not my decision. It's not,
right.
This thing has a consensus process. I do think that a lot of people misunderstand that, the way Bitcoiners will look at most things that are new on Bitcoin, they will view them as an attack vector. That's cool. I'm perfectly on board with that.
Yeah.
But shit happens slow in Bitcoin land. So yeah, you can all get frustrated out on Twitter for the next 6 months and enjoy it. Yeah, enjoy what the algo is feeding your mind. Okay.
People are not happy unless they're unhappy, I find.
Apparently that's how Twitter works. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what it feeds. All right. So you told me by message today you wanted to talk about some shitcoins or some cycles.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. First of all,
you want me to put the chart up?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I do not mind.
There's been, just to address one thing, I've had such a pain in my ass with crypto media and crypto Twitter in general. But one thing I wanted to point out, just to show the absurdity of how total lies and bullshit stories gain traction in crypto Twitter. So the orange candle is the S&P, yeah, okay, and the candles are Bitcoin. So yesterday you will have seen this dump, and you'll have seen that it was all because somebody had spread a false rumor that the US government was selling its Bitcoins. By the way, the US government has been selling its Bitcoins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Selling a long time at a TWAP.
Right.
What I would say to people when they look at complete and utter lies like that is, how did that affect the S&P at exactly the same time?
Right.
And it didn't. So this, again, is just more crypto nonsense. Yeah. It's like the S&P crashed. I'm pretty sure nobody's saying that's because the US government is selling its Bitcoins. I'm sure. Okay.
It's got to be connected, Shaun.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is, dude. Yeah. That's what the algorithm on Twitter tells me. So again, I've really, because I genuinely tend to ignore it all crypto media, but for whatever reason, I've been sucked on my 14th Twitter account since I joined Bitcoin. I've been sucked into all the nonsense again. So again, maybe something that people should consider, that horrible old Maxi adage of, don't trust, verify. Yep. It takes about 5 minutes to realize that the S&P and Bitcoin did the same thing. And it's nothing whatsoever to do with a fake rumor about the government selling Bitcoins. It's just nonsense.
Well, I'm glad we could let the world know that.
I'm sure anybody who wants to know kind of knows this, and everybody else just loves some kind of narrative for something they weren't expecting.
Well, and most people don't want to do the work, Shaun. I mean, people would rather have something to latch onto, to give themselves some sense of, I don't know, grounding than
purpose.
Well, it's some reason, and I think this is so common in trading is that again, I'm going to say this: most people shouldn't trade because 99% will lose. Okay,
right?
So that's just a horrible stat. So If you think if you want to play the game, have an edge, and so on. But if you are going to trade, okay, feeding off fake narratives, which is what I'm going to come to as part of my, what I intended to talk about today was more. Let's look at the shit coins that ran the best in the last cycle, and try to see could we have determined that at the beginning. Nice.
And I understand you're a Pepe well now. Is that correct?
Dude, again, I was talking to Ed, who was around, who's doing all the marketing, Bitcoin marketing, and he was going, well, you into Pepe? I said, look, things like Pepe, so 1 in 30,000 decides to do an insane run. If I trade it, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. I'm just looking to short it.
Yeah, I like that, because it's going to dump.
Of course it's, and it has. So, I mean, I'm not looking to jump in on some, I'm not watching 30, 40, 50,000 assets waiting for some complete bullshit coin to take a pump. But if it does and it gets traction, then I'll do some analysis and go, do you want to know? I'll just make money on the way down. That's the way I trade these things. I'm not looking at all these assets. If something like that which went up some 40,000%, something completely fucking insane, yeah. Okay, then I'm just going to go, cool, I'll just look to I'll use some kind of analysis and look for positions to short, and I'll make money on the way down, because again, you can make more money on the way down than you can on the way up. This is one of these things about trading that people tend not to understand, is that most of the contracts are edged towards short selling rather than just longing. Again, I'm not suggesting people do it. I'm just saying that if you are going to do it, there's no reason at all that you should have a directional bias.
Right. Absolutely.
Down is as valid as up.
By the way, credit to Niblets for bringing this up. Shaun's take on meme coins, aka the shittiest coins, is welcome. So I think the first, I'm agnostic on it. I'm going like, so what? Yeah, exactly.
It's what actually, Shizzy, the US government is selling Bitcoin. And they have been. They have the seized Mt. Gox coin. They sold off the first tranche the beginning of the year, and they'll start. But like, they're not going in and clicking a button and dumping them all. They're they're TWAPing them out.
Yeah, exactly. Chuck says, tell me what to think. If it makes me angry and confirms my personal beliefs, then bonus points. Yeah. What?
Dude,
I love all the hand wringing.
I could run my own radio station and just upsetting people.
Well, I mean, that's what there's a lot of personalities in the world that thrive on exactly that model. And it's not hard to do, right? I mean, the people creating the most anxiety in the world are the folks who are definitely leveraging that exactly. So
one other thing just to say, and the reason for my new name and retaining, I was going to replace Vitalik, the V man, with BitBoy this week, but BitBoy is just not even worthy of the scorn.
Oh my God, he fucking annoys me. Where was he today? He was
is just.
He's in Estonia today, pontificating at some fucking panel. I'm sure he's.
I have friends in Estonia. I wonder, can I get him arrested? Let me try.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Do we really call what he does pontificating?
Well, whatever the fuck it is, spewing shit.
There you go.
The fact that he calls himself a representative to people in government at all just gives me the heebie-jeebies. But whatever, it's.
So before I kind of get onto that, I have decided that maybe, and again, I know this doesn't come across in when I'm talking or even posting. I did decide that maybe I was missing a trick on some of these smart contract chains.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You're not going to like the conclusion. Okay?
Well, I don't think I'm going to be surprised.
Honest analysis, yeah. So
great. All right, I love it.
My honest analysis that basically everything is EVM, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
EVM, okay.
Part.
And I'm an ex-coder back in the days, after punch cards, deck writers, and even we had real keyboards and screens at one point in my coding career. Like, it was fucking luxury, dude. Okay. I have genuinely, even though I was a big ETH miner back 2016, 2015, 2016, I've never really looked at the smart contract capabilities or any of that kind of stuff. I spent the last 2 weeks digging into EVM, and I can honestly say I was horrified at how fundamentally shit it is, how completely basic it is, and how it's just as a platform to do anything useful is awful. Genuinely, I was shocked. I mean that seriously. I was, because
can you give us a little more granular perspective on what things you were looking at to make you say
okay,
that?
so my specific purpose was to look at decentralized exchanges, yeah? Okay. And the beating heart of a decentralized exchange is the order book, yeah?
Sure.
Okay. Like, there's zero fucking possibility you can have an order book in an EVM. Just none. It's just not possible.
Right. It's not
Which,
that. That's why the AMM model.
Anything that requires data, and not even a significant amount of data, is completely pointless on any EVM.
Well,
And
there are ways around it, but directly in the EVM, yes.
That's my point. You then get into tricks and all this kind of horseshit, yeah? And I was also like, there's a lot of very intelligent people who I respect. And I'm going to shout out to Niblets here, because Niblets has been who is clearly very intelligent, excellent dry sense of humor, clearly and somebody whose views I do respect, even if I take the piss out of each other. We take the piss out of each other sometimes. And he had come up with this analogy as Ethereum is oil. And I went, okay, maybe, and I'd slightly modified my view based on some conversations that were happening in the Telegram group going, okay, maybe I should give Ethereum as being some kind of a cloud compute platform. And I'll go that far. And then maybe there is some actual value there. And yet when I look at its compute capabilities, I'm going, we're back to fucking punch cards here. This is not oil. This is the grease on a kitchen floor. There is truth in that analogy for Ethereum. Absolutely. So anyway, I was looking at it, and again, a whole part of my thesis, and I have been looking, look, if you want to make money, okay, in the next bull cycle, I'm going to come back to, and I'm going to say again, if there's a next bull cycle, because I'm beginning to question it, but anyway, we can put my mad views on that aside. Okay, what you really want to do is pick a couple of 1,000 Xers, yeah, and they are out there, and then try to identify why and how. And so I was looking at smart contract chains and L1s, and part of that was just writing these off completely in terms of being that total fucking home run. It doesn't make any sense for these things to do 100x or 1000x that I can see.
Right.
Because the fundamentals underlying them, it's like and I use the term really advisedly, this is like my old Casio scientific calculator functionality, supposedly decentralized and expensive to use. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Niblet says maybe ETH is not oil. Niblet says, okay, maybe ETH is not oil, but a restaurant waste biofuel.
Again, dude, like, I mean, I love Niblet. Again, one of the smartest people to engage with. Fucking love him to bits. And respect him to the point that I actually bothered, primarily based on Niblet's kind of views of Ethicon. Like, if Niblet sees something, I must. There must be something there. And I don't get it, Jeff.
Shizzy says, this point is actually the same as the Phantom Foundation and the reason for the FVM later this year. He's talking about the high performance changes that they're making to the way their virtual machine functions to provide high speed capabilities on that chain.
It's not even speed that like speed is going to be an issue on a compute platform. It always will be, yeah.
Right.
And obviously cost is going to be an issue on a compute platform. But data storage is as fundamental an issue, yeah.
Right. It is. Data is an issue. I mean, there are chains specifically for that. But yes, that is definitely an issue. Chuck says EVMs and smart contracts are for settlement, not order books. You just have to have a trustworthy way to do orders that are then settled on chain.
I mean, to answer that, Chuck, because I did dig into this and quite a bit and going, look, you're better off just writing your own L1 to perform this than even attempting to do this on an EVM. It's pointless. I mean, there's nowhere to go.
Chuck says on-chain compute will always be a lost cause. It can only scale transaction volume and compute power roughly as much as the slowest node, even with rollups.
Yeah.
Niblett says.
Let's hear what.
Niblett said, is it the EVM performance or the notion of an XVM? Is it a technical failure or a conceptual failure that is the problem?
To me, both.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you can contextualize. Look, the idea of a virtual machine running on a blockchain sounds, and to be clear, is what got me into it way back in the day. What was the narrative at the time? The world computer or something. Yeah. Right. And I fucking love it. Yeah. I really fell in love with the concept.
Yeah.
And yet the concept really doesn't take the separation from concept to what is in reality, what can be achieved in reality, I think is too far. I mean, the best examples of dealing with it are ones we all mock, like Solana.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would struggle to find how you can get this performance in a decentralized system. I can certainly see how you can get it in a distributed system, and these are two different things. But anyway, as I said, I kind of genuinely went off, and I know I come across as this toxic maxi, and I didn't. I said, look, there's some people here whom I respect, who see some value here. I like value. I'm a fucking investor. I'm a trader. So if there's money to be made, then for sure I want to take part. And I can't see it, man.
The difference between you and a toxic maxi, which makes you not a toxic maxi, is that you actually were willing to take a look at it and analyze it, right? That's the difference in my mind. My definition of a toxic maxi is someone who is religious and doesn't consider anything else. So that to me is the difference between you and they.
As I said, I didn't. I was an any coiner to a few coiner to a one coiner. That's my path in this space. I think it's a path that is well trodden by a lot of people who engage in this space for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Chuck says it's a concept that has no traditional technical implementation that scales, Niblets.
So anyway, then I went, look, let's forget all this fundamentals, because here's the truth of, let's look at the last bull run. Okay. Let's look at what actually printed the most money, because if I rule out investing on fundamentals, I'm investing just for return. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I've heard of 3 of these projects, maybe 4. Okay. But if you, and this is my fundamental point here about, taking a swing at the market for the next bull run, is that it is my opinion, and I think historically provable, that it's all narrative and nothing else. Okay.
I think that's, there are no, there's not enough people for it to be fundamentals. Yeah.
So if you look at the top 7 or top 6, there are 4 gaming metaverse coins that did insane returns. Yeah.
Right.
We had, okay, one maybe rational project, the way I see it, in the top 7, which was Polygon. You can argue Solana was rational and probably is. Again, people can argue about it, but the rest of it is utter bullshit.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Now, look, I would say that a part of the growth in things like Axie Infinity and the Sandbox was a narrative of fundamentals being that gaming would be, with the size of the market that exists, that there would be potentially some value. And the interesting thing is Axie Infinity, as pointless as it is and as poorly done as it was actually for a good year providing folks in poverty with an income more than they would get working any job they could get in their country. And it was at scales of thousands of people. So I think that's why a lot of it happened. Now, these percentages.
My point, though, Brad, is that if we're trying to pick some home runs, and right. I'm not anti-home run. It doesn't have to make sense to make money.
That's
right. That's my fundamental approach to the altcoin market. Yeah,
got it.
And so I'm going like in 19, Jesus, that shows my age. In 2019, okay, you were preparing for the bull run. How would you pick any of this shit?
That's a tough one, man, because I probably would have stuck to chains for my own narratives, but no, I don't know. How would you
see? This is kind of where I come back to and say, and by the way, we can go back to the previous bull run and the previous bull run, and I think that's as many bull runs as we can go back to. 3. And what we find when we analyze these things is that the greatest returns, okay, were never the narratives during the bear market. So whatever narrative about what's going to be next, and the current narrative is AI, or whatever nonsense is being said out there. When you look at the narratives during the bear markets versus what actually printed the optimum returns during the bull market, there's no connection.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And I would also say, while there are outliers, I mean, I can see maybe a case for Polygon and Solana as having, and Phantom as having, 3 out of 25 as having some kind of fundamental case.
Right.
Okay. Investing on fundamentals is suboptimal.
Yes.
In terms of financial returns.
In this space. Yeah, I agree with that. Because there are no fundamentals right now. There's no standard valuation on, say, cash flow and what different revenue streams are doing, or management team, how it's performing, how it's executing. You don't have that. It's all, like you said, it's all narrative driven right now.
It is. In other words, it's all selling the story regardless of the reality of the story. And again, I'm not saying that to piss people off. Maybe it will piss people off. But what I am going to say is that if you're looking to make a cycle length investment on, again, if you believe there's going to be a new altcoin bull run, then you should probably look at what generates the maximum returns. Yeah, because you're only going to hold these things for, maybe you hold them for a year. By the way, year and a half is about optimum in terms of value. And who doesn't want a 40,000% return?
Of course.
We'll
all take the home run, no matter what the reason is.
I'll throw 10 grand into that. Yeah,
sure.
Heck yeah.
So again, this is more, again, from a trader mindset of looking at these things and going, look, whenever you want to start accumulating, I think that the best financial return will be based on trying to identify the next narrative rather than trying to look at the market from a fundamental standpoint. Because the truth is, the things that have even a modicum of fundamentals underperform.
Right.
Because nobody cares right now. Nobody cares right now.
How do you,
Yeah,
how do you
market,
identify the next narrative, Shaun?
yeah, the market clearly shows it doesn't care. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We may care,
Right.
you know, and there's nothing wrong with us caring. But again, I'm investing in alts on only to print more Bitcoin. That's my personal choice. You can do your own thing, you know, on that. But the point of that is that if we're really analytical about what makes money in a bull market, okay, it's nothing to do with fundamentals. Yeah, in terms of what maximizes your return. Okay.
Or is it that, are you saying that those that are already there in the market, you know, I mean, in the next bull market, betting on those that say are 99% off their highs is less sound than, say, picking the new ones that have no left side history on the chart, but yet are fit in the narrative?
I think 99.999%, okay, that all altcoins in their second bull run underperformed the first one. They're so, you know, and again, not advice, but it's very easy for people to analyze the historical, and it's also very easy to understand why, but we'll come back to that, is that, you know, even Ethereum, which people, you know, see some use in, okay, underperformed this cycle versus the cycle before that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And you know, relative to Bitcoin, we always have to measure this relative to the kind of prime asset. So, you know, in many ways, like I picked Canto as I'm going to play that game, you know, but again, dude, I'm picking it because there's something about it I like, primarily how the chart moves, and it seems to have a bit of a buzz, and so
and because
on.
I like it.
There you go.
No, I absolutely. I mean, I'm you know, and again, dude, you know, if I lose my few quid in it, I'm not going to be fucking messaging you going, you prick, for getting me into Canada. Okay? I'm a big boy. But equally, if I make $1 billion, I'm also not going to be thanking you.
Right, exactly.
Where's my taste? Where's
I'm
my
not getting
taste?
a commission.
I'm joking, so, but like I've kind of predetermined that, and what I'm doing is that when we are going into a bull market, the old rules are best, which is I'll wait to see what runs strongest at the beginning, and I'm just going to back that horse, and I don't care if it's Bumblebee coin. Right. Or fucking, you know, or some, I don't care what it is. I will just jump on the fastest horse out of the gate. Because again, if you look at the things that make the maximum returns, it's by and large, I think statistically very significant that the ones that run hardest first run hardest all the way. Right. So you may miss 10,000% of your 40,000%, but you know, I'm kind of okay with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that was it. Again, just a bit of, you know, advice, because I know, you know, some people view we're bottoming, maybe we are. Some people view we bottom, maybe we are. And, you know, people are looking at, you know, again, you know, what they believe they should be accumulating for the next run. And I'm going, look, and Shizzy gets the point there. You know, Shizzy is buying what he uses. Cool, that's great. Yeah. And again, nothing, you know, nothing wrong with that. But I'm just talking about a using these things to maximize return on an investment over, you know, a 1 to 2 year period tops. Yeah.
So you're looking at right now, obviously, as one to play with, but in terms of thinking about, like, if you were going to pick and I'm not asking you for what coins, but if you were going to pick a group of 10 that you were going to take a flyer on and see what happens, would your timing be things you're looking at now, or would you wait closer to a point that you think the entire market has you know, gotten to the point where you're going to see a heat up on these alts?
Okay, and I know people don't like, Shizzy gets all upset with me when I say this. And if I'm wrong, I'm okay with being wrong. Yeah. Again, the other thing I'd say to anybody who wants to actually survive in this space, every decision you make, you should be okay with being wrong with. So I'm okay with being wrong with the decision that I'm about to articulate. okay, or the view that I have zeroed out personally, or you can never have zeroed out, but I have an extremely high level of probability that the bottom is way down and way far out. Okay, so I'm not rushing into anything. And again, to be clear, it's my view. It's not advice. And equally importantly, I'm okay with being wrong. Yeah, I position myself if I'm wrong, and I think that's fundamental. A fundamental thing that people should think about everything that they do in investing in this space is: are you okay with being wrong? Yeah, that's it. Yep. Okay. After that, whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, it's my opinion that I also think there's a non-zero chance, and I'm not saying this is a high probability, but I do think there's a non-zero chance that the altcoin game is over for good. And let me explain why. I have increasingly felt that this whole 30, 40, 50, 100,000 worthless fucking tokens reminds me so strongly of the dot-com boom and bust in every way. The enthusiasm is the the insane amount of VC money is flowing in, and if I'm right, that means that we're going to have a culling, and that we will end up with, of the current basket of them, 3 to 4, maybe 2, 1, whatever, 10, that actually will survive it and become real businesses down the road. Again, I have a very simplistic view of that. Is I have no interest in digging through 30,000 assets to find the 3 that that will survive a potential altcoin bust. I'll just buy them higher when they've proven themselves. I'm fucking perfectly okay with that, yeah. It's like, I don't need to buy Amazon day one. Buy it 3 years in. I'm perfectly fucking okay with that, yeah.
Right. I guess my question though is from the perspective of, I know you've kind of set your levels for some of these that you're looking at, like Canto, where you want to buy.
Yeah.
But from the perspective of thinking about the narrative, it seems to me that would be something that you would wait on a lot of those until you're closer to the point where you think this is all going to happen.
Again, I have a sweet spot for Canto simply because the chart is so well behaved. Okay.
Right.
And since I've invested, somewhere between 8 and 16 hours of my life in analyzing it, I feel that I must follow through. Okay.
Right.
So I'm not either shilling Canto, but I've spent some time and I have a bit of Canto, like fuck all. And I'm kind of going, I'm going to back that horse and again, I'm perfectly okay with every sat that I put into it becoming worth 0. Yeah.
Right.
And in fact, the way I treat all of these things, once I make an investment, I've already decided it's worth 0 in my head. And if it comes back to be worth something, fucking great. Yeah.
Right.
Like I wouldn't normally pre-select. I mean, last bull run, I picked just one coin, which was Solana. I mean, it was such an obvious play. It ticked every single boxes. I genuinely can tell you I had no idea that it was a smart contract train. I had no idea about anything whatsoever about it.
I think that summarizes it perfectly, right? It's like,
I got in.
Even give a shit what it is.
That's my point. These things, because the market, the historical performance of altcoins tells me not to give a shit.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I backed one horse. I got lucky. I got in at 250. It ran $2.50. It ran to 250. Whoopie fucking do. Happy as me. Yeah. I actually sold it all out at 100 because I was just fucking, and it was just ridiculous. Yeah. But anyway, that's kind of a separate story. But again, the point I would make is that if we're into maximizing returns, and again, I get Shizzy's point, if it's some shit you use, great, you need it, buy it. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking to optimize returns, history tells us that it is not based on fundamentals. It's not something that you could have pre-predicted before it started running. And maybe something to consider is to sit on your cash, wait for the horses to get out of the gate, whenever that may be, and then put your money on.
Yeah. I get it. And so it's when you start seeing a rise across the board is when you start assessing kind of current narrative.
When I think the market is bottomed.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. And again, unpopular view, and you know, all of this stuff, you know, and again, there's a lot of stuff like, you know, I mean, liquidity is just fucking dead. Like VCs have stopped, and like, again, I'm going to go all bearish again. VCs have stopped investing. I mean, if you look at VC deals, the amount of money flowing in, like, it's dead, it's over. You know, it's not happening. Are there stories about VCs investing? Of course there are. But if you look at net deal flow and net money coming in across the globe, not just in the US, it's basically dead. If you look at, again, money still leaving at about $1,000 a second, you know, the attacks are still on, the Mt. Gox coins aren't unlocked, bloody. Okay, I'm a bear. Okay. And
well, I've got an article loaded up here. You know, a new survey says 62% of family offices don't want to be in crypto anymore.
Yeah. It's not pleasant. And again, you know, I'm going to stress, I think I'm right. Obviously, I'm very confident I'm right. That doesn't have to make you confident. You can think I'm a complete nutter. And but here's the main thing. I'm perfectly okay with being wrong as well.
Yeah. Shizzy says, you're missing one huge factor about altcoins. Community coins will be a huge thing. People feeling part of a group empowered by ownership. Altcoins are here to stay. So part of me says there'll still be altcoins. One of the things I rant occasionally about on Twitter is you don't need a fucking coin. And so I actually, I think the transformation of this idea of a community coin, if I know if I'm speaking to exactly what you're talking about, Shizzy, is that this will become more oriented to a share of revenue tagged to an NFT, but not necessarily a coin for trading and speculation on a market. And then in that concept, real businesses generating real revenue, or communities around, say, a performer or an artist or something, I think those all have potential to actually be a business. And I think that those are all things that could generate revenue for people, and people will be a part of it because they love the community and they're making money. Whether or not that still is represented by altcoins or not is something I'm not sure about.
Yeah, and also just for Shizzy, like you go back to, I think the first altcoins were what, 2012, like they were they all had communities, and again, I'm not anti it I'm not anti it at all. I'm just kind of going, look, I'm talking about what has always happened with, and what, just because something has always happened doesn't mean it needs to happen again. Okay, but I'm talking about what runs in the cycles was never what's expected, had nothing to do with fundamentals, and the best returns you could make. You could get lucky and have held Keek coin, whatever the fuck that is, okay, from the very beginning. Okay, you could have gone off and researched the 30,000 things and gone, I'm all in on Keek, which I've never heard of before. Mind you, I've never heard of most of these things. That's my life. And you could do that, or you could have waited for Keek coin to be up 5,000% and then jump in.
Right.
And the problem that people have, and again, this is just advice for people, not advice. It's something for people to think about. And the basic maths of this is very simple. Yeah, Bitcoin did a 20x last bull run. Yeah. Okay. So to outperform that by buying punts, okay, you'd need 1 in 5 of your shitcoins to do 100x.
Right.
Yeah. So people have a great memory of like, there are two, again, in my opinion, there are three types of people who trade in this game. There are people who make money. Again, it's 1%. That's horrible but true statistic. Yep. And the people who lose money, who only remember their wins, And the people who lose money, you only remember their losses. But you know, if you rode, you know, whatever, any swap, whatever the hell that is, up 16,000%, you're going to feel like a god. However, if you looked at the return on your portfolio in general, if you happen to own any swap, you know, did it outperform a 20x, and was, you know, across everything, and was that increased risk that, you know, a couple of your lotto numbers didn't come in actually worth it?
Yeah.
So again, I'm just going, you know, as we get closer to the bottom, I still think the bottom's a long way off, but as we get closer to it, I am beginning to again turn my head to, you know, and think about and go, look, what horse or horses do I want to pick next time out? And so again, looking at historical stuff is always useful. Again, you know, the same shit doesn't have to happen again. I think with respect to altcoins, there's a high probability it happens again. And, you know, but also, you know, if you're looking at these, and again, I understand what, like, if you're playing one of these game metaverse things because it's a cool game, that's a different thing. I'm just talking about, do I want to put $1,000 into this and hope it does, you know, 40,000%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
How do I take that? And it's nothing to do with fundamentals. It's nothing to do with anything. It's all to do with narrative. Solana was very simple. You looked at who backed it. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, like you just went like, this is again, I have no idea what it does. Literally none. I didn't, like, literally none at the time. I heard something about it since. Apparently they have a mobile phone. Okay. But it was so easy to pick because you saw who was behind it and you went, well, that's clearly going to fucking run.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's in their best interest. Chuck said, the same way that people root for a sports ball team or trade Pokemon cards or collect Beanie Babies, some people will be attracted to crypto, but it is gambling, not investing. Niblet said, I would be one of those who remembers his wins if I had any. Shizzy said, is Shaun excited about Pulse Chain launch in less than 7 days? I know he sacrificed for it.
I have,
like
I have again, and again, I respect Shizzy's views. And so I have been looking at, you know, every so often Shizzy posts in the Telegram some shitcoin. Okay, I think they're shitcoins. He obviously doesn't. And I look at the charts and I go, you know, will I take a punt on them? And so, you know, I'll look at whatever the fuck that is. And I look at the charts and I go, do I want to gamble of $1,000? Maybe I will. Yeah. But most of the time I look at the charts because, again, to me, the bear market is only about to start. That's the way I'm contextualizing what's happening. Therefore, I'm not really that interested in taking a punt on anything. But yeah, I look at them all. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, again, as a trader, again, it doesn't have to make sense to make money. And if I look at the chart and I go, Zen is about to do 100% fucking up, in my opinion, I'll take a long for a day or two. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, will you walk us through your Canto analysis? I think.
Yeah. So I have my shitcoinery chart, but let's go with Canto, which I love. So. Again, this is exactly the same boring chart I posted every week. So this is a way of viewing at the market, which is just called range trading. Yeah. So you have this clearly defined range, this line here I'm pointing at in this line. Okay. You have lower deviation and upper deviation. Okay. So we deviated out of range at the bottom means you expect a deviation from the top. Okay. Currently, you can see that so what you expect here is a test of the midline, which we got to the dollar. Yeah.
Right.
Which you would expect somewhat of a bounce. But ultimately, since the last deviation was to the top, okay, this thing, not advice in my opinion, is coming down here.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
It's been incredibly well behaved. You can see, again, at weekly levels, ignore the wicks, you know, and so on, you know. And when I say at weekly levels, I mean when the week closes. Okay, but it's just been so fucking well respected. What I like about it was the fact it already demonstrated a what's that, 1,200% rise, but didn't do the associated dump. Because if I compared that, I was looking at Zen, okay, and I'm going, here's the problem. Again, I don't know what Zen does. This is not designed to piss anybody off. I go, the problem I have with Zen is it ran, yeah, and then it did a currently 99.99% retrace.
Right.
Okay. To me, that's just over. Yeah. And again, it could be wrong. It could have, but anything that basically retraces 99.9%, I kind of go, yeah, I don't know. Whereas this did its nice run and then really began to behave itself. Yeah. So it didn't run up and then immediately come back down here, because to me, that's just it was a pump and dump. It's over. This has some demonstrable trader interest. It's demonstrated that it can run, and it's very controlled on its pullback. I love that. Now, if I'm right and the bear market is yet to start, I'll easily hit this. If I'm wrong, I'm okay with that as well, because what we'll do is we'll break this, we'll reconfirm it, and I'll buy it from here up.
Right.
I'm not interested in trading this zone.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think a part of the behavior here is about the way the community treats this project and how people are kind of taking the same approach, which is they are actually in it for what they see in the project and what they see being built, or whatever their reasoning is. They like the project, right? And so they're not like flying out of it as soon as there's any kind of decline in the price. And I think that's part of why it's behaving is that people are in the community, they're locked in, they're not exiting, and I think that's why it's probably not getting the bigger dumps. That doesn't mean it's a long-term, incredible run, but I definitely like the way it looks, and frankly, I'd be happy.
What I like about it is the disrespecting of levels, of high time frame levels, tells me that there is, again, not advice, but tells me that there's a significant entity with an interest in this.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
And there are a few VCs that have come in and bought after the fact. There was no VC round. They've come in and bought tokens on the market. So
I'm not talking about long-term VC money. I'm talking about a significant swing trader interest, because because again, you don't hit perfect center lines like to the dollar and respect all of this without somebody managing the price.
Nice.
And so that's what
you feel like there's adult supervision on this project.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Now, again, the adults might turn out to be Sam Bankman-Fried, and this is all for naught. But I like it. And again, just then to compare it to something that has literally no adult supervision is this.
Yeah.
This has no adult supervision. This has no supervision. This is a pump and dump, in my opinion. I don't know what it does. I don't care. But I'm looking at this and going like, this is just ridiculous. Yeah, this is. I've never, again, any charts I see like this. So again, if somebody mentions a coin, okay, again, I'm a trader. I'm always looking for opportunity. I will go off and look at it. But I see this and I go, look, maybe this moonshot's to $1 billion. Yeah,
right.
But which is always possible. Yeah, but do you want to know? I've already moved on. It's pointless.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's pointless me playing this game because there's no adult supervision with price. I mean, Sol, again, everything is just respecting levels. So again, right now you can see Sol is literally looks like it just wants to break down and die. It may, so again, weekly level. So if we look at these things, okay, what you can see is that this support goes all the way back here. Back historically, you can see it's been acting as support. The problem with something like this is that more support is tested. The more time support is tested, the more likely it is to break.
Sure.
Again, that's to understand it. People go, why is that? You go, well, look, somebody has determined that this price of $20.14 is a buy price. Yeah. And every time price gets there, it gets bought up. Yeah. Eventually, those people run out of money. Yeah, they cannot defend that price anymore, and therefore the legs down. And this continued testing of this level would indicate to me that the higher probability is that, I don't know if it bounces here and does another few weeks of this, but I'm very happy to short this thing simply because A, I think we're in a bear market, and B, this support is, in my opinion, a 90% plus probability to break. That doesn't mean it can't run up to $25 again or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, not that interested in that. I'm interested in getting the rundown initially to $10 and then into my green zone here, where I will buy some. And to be clear, why I buy some, I'm not interested in holding Solana for a full cycle, but I think $3 to $30, which is a 10x, is a no-brainer trade to me. There's enough liquidity, there's still enough interest, and I'll buy. If the market gives me 3, I've no doubt it runs to 30, and I'm just the fuck out at 30. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm going.
Nice.
I don't care if it goes to $1 billion thereafter. It's like whatever. I'll take my 10x and fucking run for the hills.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like BMX token, it's exactly the same thing. You can see we're just testing this fucker, and at some point, I expect
That's fascinating looking chart. That's great.
Yeah, it is. I mean, again, there's buying, you can see, but the bounces are, again, think of this like a bouncing ball. Yeah.
Yeah. Running out of
losing
steam.
momentum. Eventually, whoever is deciding to buy here is going to run out of liquidity and price is just going to shoot down. So, what else have I looked at?
Are you
here?
buying that in that green zone?
Yeah, like I have a specific, so this is an exchange coin.
Right.
So I have a financial interest in owning more of this exchange coin. There's nothing to do whether this runs or not runs.
I got you. Okay.
So, if you buy this, you get deeper exchange rebates.
Okay.
Okay. And to put this in context, I would expect to make $3 million a year on exchange rebates.
Nice.
Okay. And maybe, so like this is just simply an economic decision.
Yeah, that's a fundamental
it's
play
an
for your
absolute
business.
fucking pointless shitcoin, but I can buy it and immediately it starts adding to my P&L. So I'm not recommending any of them, but this might be a nice trade. Again, you might get some reflexivity here, but who knows? It could just fucking all go to zero or whatever. What else have we been looking at? Kanto, Ethereum's fucked. As is Bitcoin, this is not an anti-Ethereum thing.
No, I know. It's just funny.
Okay. I'm just going, look, again, slightly more complex, but like we can't gain that. Okay. When we lose this line, this is over. Yeah. This is like fucked completely. That's not anti-ETH. I do exactly the same chart on Bitcoin going. It's also fucked in my opinion. And maybe it's going to distribute here for another month or two. Maybe it squeezes 2,000 again for a week. I don't care. I just can't. I cannot get more short into this. And the higher it goes, the happier I am to short. Again, remembering I'm happy with any outcome.
Yeah. Look at that buy range. What is that? 307 to 436.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's and the reason for
not
that
a recommendation, anybody.
Yeah, we've already tested all these levels. Yeah, all of these levels are tested. So then I've got to go, well, if we do break down, then the levels we're going to test are here. Yeah, this is thin fucking air from here to here. That doesn't mean we go straight down. It just means this is tested, it's done. This is tested, it's done. We're going to get if this breaks down, I would imagine that 300 to 500 range. And again, I will buy some meth at that price. I don't think it'll be the best performing, but it has liquidity, it has some trader interest, and so on and so on. But right now, again, as I said, you can make money in both directions. For me, I'm really comfortable being short. What I trade on, I get paid an obnoxious amount of funding on it because it's a what they call a quanto contract. So edge, happy. If I'm wrong, fuck it, I don't care. But I'm reasonably comfortable being short on ETH here. I have no long ETH exposure, so it's not a hedge, it's just a trade. Got it.
I will tell you that after your market making episode, you have stirred a lot of people up. And a lot of people are trying to figure out how they can play the game you're playing. And so you got people playing with algos and looking at indicators and all kinds of stuff. So I find it interesting, the conversations I'm having with people about this and those folks that want to emulate what you're doing. So
yeah, and I'm just emulating what other people do. So it's not like I didn't invent this, but again, if I do this for a living, okay, this is how I make a living. It's how I made a living for 7 years, as in playing the crypto game.
Right.
I have And here's something, and again, this is not, it's going to sound like boasting. It's not boasting. I'm going to say I have lots of fingers in different pies. So I fund Bitcoin projects.
Right.
I mine, I run nodes, I provide liquidity via market making, and I hodl and hedge, and I trade. What I have to do as somebody who relies on this for a living, okay, is to ensure that one of those things can print me money today and tomorrow. Yeah. So my investments in Bitcoin startup companies, you know, may make me a trillionaire in 6 years, or more likely I'll just go, they'll just be written to zero. Yeah. I'm a big boy. I'm okay with that. Yeah. But even if they're going to make me a trillion, I can't eat them between here and there.
Right.
Okay. The mining stuff, it's at break even. You know, sure, I get new Bitcoin every day, but do you want to know, it's a fucking bear market. I expect to be. So I can't eat that. My longer term trades are just about protecting my net worth. But the thing that I know every day I can make money from is my market making.
Right.
I know every day I wake up and I go, oh, look, there's some more Bitcoin I can go and spend in McDade's. And I do think this is worth people thinking about, is that first of all, just naked trading, as in I'm long only this, is something I would say maybe find ways to hedge your exposure. That's just it's rational.
Right.
And find ways to extract value from the system that have very little to do with market conditions. Now, you can argue that's yield farming, market making, or whatever, but something to where every day you can wake up and go, I extracted some value from this market.
Right. Right. Well, and I think here's the interesting thing, right? People coming in to trade are all looking for big score, big win. I shouldn't say all. Most looking for big score, big win. And I think one of the things that's refreshing to start thinking about is look, if you've got plenty of money and you just want to play the game, and you like the thrill of the game, you're not looking to make a living from this, that's fine. And if you get rich, great, you know, you don't care. But if you actually want to make money at this, reorienting your thinking around it, the way you just described how you think about your investments, I think is really important for people to start doing. It's like, okay, yeah, you know, I've got some bets I've made long term, but they could all go to zero. What are you doing that can provide you revenue every day or every week with where you're putting your money, whether it's crypto or not, that's actually going to pay the bills? And I think that's a really powerful thing for people to be thinking about as they play this game.
Yeah, and again, like, none of this is like, I am not joking. If I spent an hour writing that ridiculous you know, the Sunday before last. Now, again, I've some advantages. I've libraries that allow me to pull data and place orders. But do you want to know, ChatGPT can write those better than I did all the years ago. Yeah. Okay. And again, I'm not encouraging people to go off and make the markets. What I'm saying is that if there's any of my bullshit is worth listening to, it's try to have unidirectional exposure to some level. Yeah. Okay. And you can adjust the weighting of that based on your market view. Yeah.
Yep.
You can go, maybe I should be more weighted long than short here, or short than long, or whatever, you know, and try to identify ways to extract value regardless of market conditions. And again, that could be something as simple as yield farming or whatever. I don't know. I mean, we identified an edge on a specific contract on a specific exchange. Okay. And it's been good to us, and it continues to be good to us. And we're always seeking new ways to extract daily value, even though, you know, we're ridiculously net long, you know, on Bitcoin into the future. And we have kind of maximum hedge at the moment, which again, I'm okay being wrong with it. Don't think I'm wrong, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have max hedge exposure.
Right. Absolutely. Chuck says, so I'm asking my hedge question again, how to play the short game in the US. We can't do it on anything centralized. Anything you want to do around that, you've got to do in DeFi. those are the only way Americans are going to be able to.
I mean, like you then, like, shorting is one of the, is one of these things. Understand what a short is. Yeah. So let's say the short is that I can go borrow 1,000 tokens from Chuck. Yeah. And say, look, I'll give you 1,100 back in a year. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I sell the 1,000 tokens. Okay. At $100, and in a year they're down to 10. I buy the 110 tokens I owe Chuck, which obviously is way less of the fiat that I cashed out on at the top. Okay, I keep the fiat and give Chuck back his 110 tokens.
Right.
That's all that shorting is. So if you can get a loan of assets, and again, I'm not recommending this, but there's much confusion about what a short is. It's simply, I'm borrowing tokens from somebody, I'm selling the fucking things, and I believe I can, and I'm paying some interest, and I'm believing I can sell them back to that person. Okay. But since I've sold, I'm buying them at a lower price. Therefore, right. I'm short the market.
Right. Yeah. You're saying, I think these will go down. I'm going to borrow them, and then I'm going to buy them cheaper and make the return on the way up.
Yeah. So you can always short. Yeah. If you have access to any kind of lending. Again, I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying that that's all a short is. You're borrowing stuff to sell at today's price. Okay. So I borrow some tokens from you, Brad, and, I borrow $1 million worth of tokens. I immediately sell them. I'm sitting on $1 million of fiat or stables. The price tanks. I buy exactly the same number of tokens back, hand them to you, and I pocket the difference.
Yep. It's beautiful.
Now, of course, if I'm wrong, okay, so and all of a sudden it jams up, okay, well, guess the news. I've got to buy those tokens to give back to you at a far higher price. Yeah,
exactly.
So I guess the answer to Chuck is, Chuck, you need to lend us $1 million in tokens each.
I mean, there are. In other words, I'm presuming. And again, I need to be 1,000,000,000% clear, okay? I'm not suggesting this, okay, that people do this. But there are always techniques to short the market. I mean, the advantages of those of us who don't live in the free world is that we can use all the available tools and so on. But those tools are literally just based on first principles, yeah?
Yeah.
And the first principles of short selling is borrow some coins, sell them, and hope to buy them back cheaper.
Yep. And there's a ton of DeFi protocols you can do that on. And then I would say the other potential thing is to set up an entity outside of the United States in which you are utilizing centralized exchanges where you can take advantage of what's available because you're investing as an entity in another country as opposed to Chuck in the United States. So.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. I mean, again, I need to be very clear as like I am very much a crypto person, but when it comes to trading, okay, I have no problem trading on centralized exchanges. It is the most profitable. It's the most liquidity, blah-de. If that was a DEX, I'd be the first fucker to be on it, that had all the advantages of a CEX, but there is nothing that can beat the CEX that exists today that, unfortunately, that is, I would consider trading on because of the fees, the spread, the liquidity, the risks, the blah-de. Sure. One day it will come. I'm sure people are working on it.
Yep. Niblet says shorting has a mathematically infinite downside. Play safe.
Absolutely. I mean, shorting has a mathematically infinite downside is absolutely true, but you also risk manage to the point where you don't allow that to happen. Yeah, you can go, look, if I'm, people have this propensity in belief to be underwater more than is advisable. Okay, and that is not unidirectional. Yeah. So, if you're 10% down on your constructed short, you could decide to end it there. Yeah. If you let it run to infinity, God bless you. It's no different than because longing also has an infinite downside. It's called when the price goes to zero.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this mathematical nonsense that people throw out about shorting is, oh, your exposure is a quadrillion billion fucking percent and your kids' kidneys and all of this. I'm going, okay, well, look, if you trade without risk management, and it's the easiest thing in the world to go, if I'm down 10% or whatever you're comfortable with, in either direction, cut your losses and move on.
Exactly.
And if you're not prepared to do that, don't fucking trade, please.
Right. Yeah.
You know, if you're not, if you're down 25% on something and you're and it's all about hopium, you're going, oh no, I feel this is fundamentally great or whatever. I'm going like this is literally illogical to the extreme. Like it's illogical, yeah. Because you could sell out at a 25% loss and buy back in lower, yeah.
Yeah. And it's all about setting rules.
Yeah.
So Shaun, so of course the most important question, we still looking around that, not financial advice and all that, but were there to be a leg down, are you still looking at that like 13.8 range? Is that sort of what you're thinking still?
Again, because I listened to, and again, this is entirely my fault for not being explicit or more explicit. It is my opinion we're going to grind down.
Right. Okay.
And that we may see two black swans. I think that we may see a crypto black swan, and I'm pretty confident we'll see a TradFi black swan. And that but inherently, I think the natural price action, like we're just dropping here, we can go up to 30 again. I wouldn't be surprised if we tested 30. I don't care. I think we grind down. I think we get to that kind of 17, 18 number, and then but I think this ends in a V. But I think long before the V, there is going to be an absolute grind down. But because something else, again, maybe I should clarify that, when I talk, people are going, well, you're saying, well, it's not me saying, it's clear money is leaving the space and yet price is going up. And I go, okay, look, first of all, understand the game. Okay. The game is very simple. Yeah. The people getting out want to get out at a better price.
Yep.
Yeah. Not a fucking prayer meeting. Okay. And secondly, okay, it takes time for changes in liquidity regimes to wash through. So there's a simple example of that, yeah, which is this fucking chart ever caught up with me. Hang on. I can't. So that's money still leaving, okay? Money was still coming into the system long after the bear market happened. So these things have lags, yeah?
Right.
Okay. So and again, so I just want to be very clear. Money is leaving the system. Anybody who thinks it isn't is not operating on data. They're operating on opium. Yeah.
Right.
Or stuff. It just is. Okay. It's just a statement of fact. Okay. That doesn't imply that price isn't going to go up today, tomorrow, or the first 3 months of this year, or whatever. Yeah, it doesn't imply that whatsoever. But what it does imply is that the bottom ain't close.
Right.
Yeah, this money is just leaving. Yeah, and there's I'm going to quote the Fed. There are long and variable lags on that. Okay, in the same way that money was still coming up to when we were. Let me just refresh this and see, because my fucking trading to demonstrate a point, which it won't let me do. Hang on, I need to get rid of TUSD. 1 second here. I'll post it in the tag. In fact, I think I might have posted where you can see money was still coming in as the bear market started, because there is a delay, there is a lag, okay, to this. And again, okay, this is a trader's game, okay, and any excuse left to its own devices, the retail market is naturally bullish.
Right.
So something to understand about markets is that if you weren't scaling out and you just left the market to itself, retail is going to cause the price to go up. Yeah. So maybe, and if you want to get out, sometimes you just let that happen.
Yep.
Okay, so it's not difficult to engineer situations. And the other thing I need to express a very strong opinion on, and just my opinion, is that people have this idea that retail matter when it comes to price. And we all have the GameStop and the AMC. And I'm going, yeah, sure. Retail bunched together and acted as a hedge fund for 2 assets out of 100,000. Yeah. Do not believe retail narratives, dude. Retail does not set the price. Maybe on some nascent shitcoin down below. But if you pump your shitcoin like Pepe up so far, the big boys are going to come in and steal their candy. So again, this idea of, retail sentiment and retail buying and all of this, it's meaningless when it comes to how price is determined, unless it's just let to be on its own for a specific purpose.
Yep. Makes sense.
Again, I'm not saying that, I don't want it to be this way. I don't want it to be a bear market. I don't want any of this, but what I want, okay, and what happens, is a difference between me making money and losing money. I don't fucking like losing money.
Yeah. So you're not trading on hopium.
No, I'm also not trading on my own narrative. Yeah. Again, this is where I come back and go, look, all I'm doing is balancing long versus short exposure based on my view. And at the end of the day, I'm okay with either outcome. And it's fundamentally important if you're going to make money in this space in the longer term.
I love it. Shaun, thank you. As always, we all learn every single time. By the way, Shizzy is buying Canto at 19 cents and then every 5 cents down after that. Long hold until 2025.
Yeah, again, I don't, just to say on that, I'm not anti-DCA. I mean, my personal opinion, it's a bit early to do it, but I could be completely fucking wrong in that. If you have the stomach, if I'm right, and again, if I'm right, if you have the stomach to DCA for the next year and a half, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In my opinion, again, assuming that the asset you're DCAing into is still around, and again, I'm not arguing. I'm not getting into that, because I genuinely think you've also got to be realistic and go, is Pepe, so I don't fucking know, whatever, but if you're DCAing, the Bitcoin or maybe even Ethereum, then the chances are you can be pretty confident it's still going to be there in a year and a half. Yeah. So the only thing I would say there is I'm completely not against DCA. I just strongly question. In my own head, I've decided not to DCA. I've put on my green zones where I'll start DCAing based on my market view. And I just wonder if it's premature. But look, if the market does draw down the way I expected, as long as you have belief that the assets will still be there in a couple of years, and as long as you have the willingness to continue, it will probably work out all right in the end.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, look, if you're doing, the DCA strategy implies, it's coming off of a point where it was priced higher before. And if you're doing that, then your sentiment has to change to more about execution risk, cash flow, valuation, all of those. It's not going to be narrative investing at that point. So to your point at the very beginning, narrative will lead, out of this bear market, then it's smart not to DCA right now. To wait for the next narrative to show up is what you really should be doing.
Yeah. The other thing that, and again, another thing to think about when you're approaching this market, if you're looking at a longer term hold, it's okay to buy higher. Yeah,
true.
Like it's actually okay to go wait for something to whatever metrics you're using to prove itself and buy it up 50% from here. Yeah, because if you're but the DCA stuff, like here's a simple statistic which is funny. If you started DCAing Bitcoin at 69,000, yeah, and you continue to do that every week for an equal amount, you'd be up 15% right now.
Right.
Yeah. Now I think you will be transiently up 15%. That's my opinion. But over time frame, if the asset's still going to be there, and if you believe that any interest whatsoever should be shown in it, I am reticent to DCA the shitcoin market because I
Yeah.
think the risk of it not being there is too high for me.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
But like here's the other thing: if you're making money, whatever you're doing fucking works. Yeah. Okay. So it's that simple, you know. Like this is a really easy game to measure. Yeah, you can have all the theories and all of the approaches you want. If you know at the end, if after a cycle, which is the only way you can measure this, a bull cycle and a bear cycle. Okay, if after a cycle you've more money than when you started, you're a fucking winner. Whatever you did worked. Okay?
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, I think it's important.
And if it didn't, maybe you should question your strategy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you're also really good about compartmenting it. I think, we have to think about Bitcoin one way. How would you trade that? And again, you talk about, DCAing every day off 69. I mean, or whatever the peak number was, that's like the way you look at, say, S&P 500 investment. It's one where, you're just betting in the long game that it's just, peaks and valleys don't matter, that it's just going up. But everything else, altcoin land, there are no guarantees. Like, I don't know if there's a guarantee in anything, but there's definitely higher levels of risk, and it's about execution risk, where Bitcoin doesn't have execution risk. It's going to just go. Everything else, we have to. Did people pick the right market? They pick the right people. Can they do it? So,
whatever people think about Bitcoin, okay, I don't know. Genuinely know. Okay, there's certain people said people who don't believe Bitcoin isn't going to be here in 10 years. Yeah. Okay. I don't think there's anybody credible saying it isn't. Okay.
Right.
I don't think there's anybody credible who's saying if the market runs, Bitcoin runs. Maybe it doesn't run as much, but the point is, it's a very different story doing a long-term DCA into an asset that's going to be there in 10 years, like the S&P, like the NASDAQ, like the Dow, like Bitcoin. But if it's some nascent new altcoin and the bear market is going to extend for a year and a half more, hopefully it doesn't, then there is a real risk it's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Or the narrative gets overtaken. Again, I don't want to discourage anybody. Like I'm literally trying to say, think about things slightly differently than and I think that, the contrarians win in this game. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the CT and crypto media narrative, just, before you believe that, the rumored selling of, U.S. government Bitcoin caused the price movement, maybe just check that.
Yeah, exactly.
You think?
Yeah.
Because I think you'll find that it's utter bullshit.
Yeah. Well, and half the time when you see those headlines, they don't have a fucking clue what caused it. So,
guys, I'm furiously collecting some money here because there's a price movement. So, enjoyed that. And can I make a suggestion? Because I'm a crusty old fucking maxi. If anybody wants, crusty old Maxi's view on anything, just get in the Telegram, view it. I'm quite happy to research anything whatsoever because, that's what I do. And we can discuss it in next week's episode.
Love it. Love it. Get in there, folks. T.me/mission DeFi, T.me/mission DeFi. I know you're listening on the pod and you haven't taken the time to sign up yet. Get in there, and you've got all of this brain power, all this experience and wisdom, and a lot of great people in the community that you can be learning from, imparting your own knowledge. So definitely get in there and join us, because Shaun is available and he loves to help. So it's fantastic. We appreciate it.
And if you haven't read my posts in Telegram, just remember behind all my maxism, there's a real person.
Exactly.
Yeah. And also don't forget, he does cover the meme coin airdrop section frequently.
That's true. That's true. Guys, I have a 1:30 call. I got to drop.
Yeah. Good show, man. Good show.
As always, Shaun, this was a long one, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you got plenty of things to be doing, but we all appreciate the value and the lessons learned you provide to us. So thank you again.
Guys, I love it. And trust me, I'm not joking. I love the Telegram. I love hearing other people's opinions. I don't always agree with them. But hey, look, that's what a market is about. Yeah. Every buyer needs a seller.
Niblets, Shizzy, Chuck, thank you for participating. We love having you here commenting live. It adds to the conversation. It also makes us all think about things in different ways. So appreciate you doing that. Please join the community, t.me/mission DeFi. And if you haven't yet, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And make sure you click the little bell and give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Shaun, thanks for joining us. Joe, I hope you have a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you guys next Monday. I'm done with jury duty, so I have rendered my service for a year, and I'll be back on Monday.
Did you guys hang the person?
No, it was civil, and we awarded a 79-year-old woman her money for hurricane damage that the insurance company didn't want to pay her.
Hey, good for you. Awesome. Yeah. You guys have a great weekend, everyone. And thanks, Brad. And thanks, Shaun, as always.
I'll talk to you guys next